Dear Boomers, today's topic is alcohol and cancer. But before I get to that, yesterday we were talking about obesity and the many different uh, variants associated with it in the medical field and the way general fat shaming and that kind of thing happens in our society. My niece, Kirsten, made a great comment. Hello, Kirsten. She says that there are many reasons people may be overweight, and some overweight people may not be unhealthy. But there is a systemic issue with our food system. The FDA needs an overhaul so that they stop allowing food ingredients that are harmful and unhealthy. All the processed foods are full of sugars and unhealthy fats, along with over 1,000 ingredients that are banned in Europe. The big food companies have researched how to make food addictive and how they have few regulations because they also have people working in the FDA allowing the bad food into our food system. And the cheap processed food affects the poor disproportionately because the processed foods are cheap and addictive and cause obesity, diabetes, and disease. Our population has gotten more unhealthy in the last few decades. One simple way, which is deemed unlawful in many communities, is to plant your own food. I would like to plant food back here next year and plant food out of every window box, plant food in every backyard, and so that if everybody has food that they can share with each other, there can be a community effect that takes place there. Sharing, community, community. So I believe that the first trick to helping people get over their food addiction is to probably have classes to teach them how to cook, what vitamins are best to take, how they can improve their brain, the way they think. Oh, it all goes hand in hand, getting enough sleep, and of course the alcohol thing I will discuss right now. So, alcohol, there is a connection between alcohol and cancer. There are some recent studies from the American Association for Cancer Research that reports that found that alcohol contributes to about 5.4% of all U.S. cancer cases. Alcohol consumption increases the risk of several malignancies, including breast, liver, and colorectal cancer. And as we have seen in our population, there's a rise of rectal cancer, colorectal cancer in our youth. It has never been there before. Now, of course, as Kirsten just mentioned, it's not just probably alcohol and the young people consuming alcohol, and it's the processed food and the addiction, the lack of nutrition in these foods that are probably and most likely contributing to this epidemic. So there is a low awareness of these things. 50% of people are unaware of alcohol's cancer risks. And this might surprise many people. I have been aware because I'm a nurse. But there is what is called the myth of red wine. There's a long-standing myth that moderate alcohol consumption, especially red wine, has health benefits. And I have seen people think, okay, there are health benefits. Let me drink a bottle or two. Well, we're talking about a glass or less to help. But they're even saying that that's a myth. New studies are challenging this myth, especially as cancer risk outweighs any potential cardiovascular benefits. Our young people, the future of our country. There's statistics that show the rise in cancer among adults under 50, gastrointestinal, colorectal, rectal, and this demographic that has been rising despite declining death rates in older adults. The role of alcohol in processed foods. There's a systemic issue in food with lifestyle choices like alcohol consumption that may be driving these trends. Drinking in mid-adult has been strongly linked to increased risk, as I just said, for this colorectal cancer. In fact, I have a family member, and I can't say it's because of alcohol at all, but she is one of the young people in the statistical population that is young, has young children, and is battling rectal cancer. But I think she can beat it. So we have to, hope that she will. Alcohol affects the gut microbiome, contributing to the growth and spread of cancerous cells. So it can reduce our risk by modifying factors such as reducing alcohol intake. And that doesn't mean alcohol every day. It's like the people who drink it very occasionally don't have these risks, apparently. I don't know. And they adopt a healthy diet and avoid processed food. They adapt habits that help their health as opposed to deteriorating their health. And, we can have awareness campaigns about these things. More public messages and education are needed to inform people about the dangers of alcohol and processed food. And I would think that traffic deaths are often attributed to people who are driving in an impaired state. Stories like the one mentioned in the comment, where individuals with cancer diagnosis reflect on their lifestyle choices, alcohol use, and potential exposure to food additives. We need more research about these hidden dangers, like the forever chemicals and food hormones, which when I was young, these things were not in existence. And young, I mean in the first 25 years of my life. So there is a need for systemic change. There is a need for FDA reform and a regulatory overhaul of the FDA to better protect the public from harmful ingredients in processed foods and beverages. We have to reinforce that while lifestyle changes are essential, the systemic overhaul of food regulations is also crucial in curbing these alarming health trends. Well, one thing we can do is to stay informed, and we don't need research to change our lifestyle. We don't need science to tell us what to do. We have an inner guidance system. We need to trust our body to tell us what we need at that moment, at any given moment, and we need to understand that looking outside to the authorities to change is almost something that never, it has helped, but I do believe the most important thing is not to turn to the research to validate what we need to do. We need to do what is right for ourselves. Now, somebody wrote, this is a New York Times article I'm talking about the relationship between cancer and alcohol, and it's written by Ronnie Karen Robin, Robin. So this comment, she says, I was diagnosed with cancer about 5 years ago. I have always been a heavy drinker for a woman, 1 to 2 glasses of wine most days, and sometimes 3 on the weekend. I think we can all relate to this. Maybe not all of us. Some people just have never really been drinkers. She says, my husband is much a lighter drinker and has encouraged me to cut back, which I have, but sometimes I fall into old habits. Several months ago, he also received a cancer diagnosis, and some of our friends asked if we live in a cancer cluster, as everyone wants to explain away this diagnosis. Yes, like TMI, for instance, is about to be fired up again. TMI, 3 Mile Island nuclear power accident in the late 70s. That's where I live. Maybe alcohol contributed to mine, she goes on to say, but very unlikely it did to his. Like many have said, I'd really like to see more studies on forever chemicals and food additives and hormones, which our parents were not exposed to at younger ages despite their red meat and potato diets. So, tell me what you think in the comments below. What would it take? I think that in Europe, as an example, people are more prone to cook from scratch and drink red wine or whatever their drink of choice. And let us not forget the sociability that alcohol often creates with people. People love to socialize. COVID cut that out. For many of us, myself included, I spend days with my dogs. And I can't say that I dislike being alone. I actually like it, but I know a lot of people do not like it. And so sociability and good food shared over many courses, food courses, brings people together. That would be the same as growing a garden of food and everybody else doing the same everywhere in the neighborhood, in the community gardens, and cooking from scratch and cutting out sugar. Cancer loves sugar, if anybody knows. When people do have cancer, they crave sugar, and maybe they decide, well, what the hell, I'm going to die anyway. When in one case I remember very well, and she was not afraid to die. But the point is, cutting sugar out of your life now could be a very good thing going forward. You'll feel better, and everything is relative. The way you think, the way you feel, the way you love, and the way you give up resentments and forgive. There's going to be a video that shows up here. That video is probably the obesity video, and much love to all.